Hi guys, Philip Good here. I am an abuse recovery coach and a relationship coach. Okay, so I've been married to my beautiful wife, Eileen, for 48 years. So we're definitely in a long term relationship and highly successful. So the subject of this video is how to enjoy amazing physical intimacy in a long term relationship. Well, there's heaps of coaches out there, guys, that probably on maybe been married a short period of time, been separated or divorced once, twice, three times, whatever, and claim to be experts in advising couples and how best to enjoy a long-term relationship, whether it be and also the physical intimacy, the emotional intimacy, and all that. But are they experts? Obviously, they claim to be experts, but they haven't got a proven record. In other words, they haven't been in a long-term relationship. They're not in a long-term relationship. So how can they best advise you? And a lot of them have not had the experience. They've learned to be a coach from books, right? So they've learned the theory, but they haven't learned what actually makes a great long-term relationship via experience by doing it. But I have, my wife has. So interesting. So I guess a lot of couples in long-term relationships or in any relationship want to know how to increase the physical intimacy in their relationship, right? Well, interesting in the five love languages, isn't it amazing that physical touch is the last of the five? They go in order: words of affirmation, receiving gifts, acts of service, quality time, and physical touch. There's a very good reason why they're ranked in that order. In order to enjoy amazing physical intimacy with your partner, you've got to have addressed the first four: words of affirmation, words of praise, compliments, uplifting. I love you. You're beautiful. I love the way you're dressed. I love the way your hair is. I love your legs and all the rest of the body parts. I love your smile. I love your personality. And say the words I love you often, at any time of the day. When you get up in the morning, first thing when you get out of bed, if you take your spouse a cup of coffee or a piece of toast, uh, give them a kiss, say I love you, and do the same at the end of the day or during the day whenever you're in contact with each other. It's so important, to give each other, not only say the words, because words, guys, words are really, really powerful. So when you affirm something, you always have the intention of lifting your partner up. Never, ever put your partner down about anything. And therein lies the problem with blame. There's so many times that different people in a relationship and outside a relationship blame somebody for doing something that they consider is not quite right, right? You didn't do it my way. It's my way or the highway. Well, there's more than one way of solving a problem or an issue or a challenge, guys. So it's simply because somebody does something different to you, there's no reason to blame somebody. Never ever blame your partner or your child for anything, right? Because when you think about it, do you like being blamed for something that you've done? Or according to somebody else, you haven't done it right, so they put you down or blame you? No, you haven't done it right. It's my way. Do it this way. So never ever do that. And in 48 years that my wife Eileen and I have been married, we never blamed each other for anything, not one single thing. And that is one of the hallmarks of our great relationship. And all these things, lifting each other up, increase emotional intimacy, closeness and togetherness. They build friendship, they build joy, they build team, and all the great things you need to have in a fantastic long-term relationship. And if you do those sort of things, increasing physical intimacy or heightened levels of physical intimacy will take care of themselves. It'll take care of itself, right? So you get words of affirmation, those that I've just talked about. Receiving gifts. Don't just wait to an anniversary or a birthday or Christmas or whatever, Valentine's Day, to give a gift to your husband or your wife. Give it any time. Just quite often the best gifts are done in an impromptu fashion. You just go out there and you decide, you think of your wife or you think of your husband. I'll buy him this, or I'll buy her a bunch of flowers, whatever. So you just do that random, right? And you give it to her. And you see her face light up, right? Because you thought about her. And that's just something really, really special. So gifts are something, but there's gifts of everything. There's gifts of love. A gift that could be considered a hug, a kiss, or whatever. It's just like giving. And also when you give with no expectation of return, right? Give because from your heart to your spouse's heart, right? Because your spouse is the most important person in the world to you, right? Along with yourself, of course. And then we come on to acts of service. Doing things together, helping each other do the dishes, around the housework, chores, help with raising the children, changing nappies when the kids are young and stuff. It's not a gender-specific role, guys. It's just whatever the next task is to do, go and do it without being asked. And quite often you can have the joy of doing things together, which builds friendship, it builds team, it builds togetherness, it builds closeness. It makes your relationship more secure. And all these things go together to increase the harmony, the peace, the love, happiness, and joy in your relationship. And all these things create more physical intimacy because you've increased the emotional intimacy levels through effort. And that results in greater physical intimacy. You feel secure. You feel happy, right? So these sort of things are so, so important. Okay, then we get down to time. What does time mean? Time is love, right? Time means to invest my essence. To me, it means you can, whatever your meaning is, but I associate time with to invest my essence in terms of relationship and to invest my essence, my heart and soul in the person that I love, my spouse, right? So for me, if you really love your spouse, she or he should be your number one best friend, hand on heart. Absolutely your number one best friend. Whoever your best friend was before you got married becomes your second best friend. Your number one best friend is your spouse. If you want to have the greatest long-term relationship, the greatest emotional intimacy, the greatest physical intimacy and sex, then your spouse is your number one best friend, hand on heart. And therefore, you want to spend as much of your free time with your spouse as possible. Right? Sure, there's time for friends, but the priority time is always with your spouse. Hand on heart. And if you do that, everything falls into place. With my wife and I, and this is, some people have said to us in the past, like, okay, we were dairy farmers, right? Dairy farmers for 48 years. So that meant that a lot of the time we worked together. We worked together on farm and in the house. So we had our life was like, and our, working together was, the type of working together we had was, what was the next priority job? Whether it be on the farm or in the house or with the kids or whatever, what was the next priority job? And bang, because we were so close to each other, we had that sort of awareness and we sort of just interacted one way or the other. It was like, okay, you're doing this, I'll do this. There was no ifs, buts, and maybes. We just did it, right? We would set a plan. You're doing this, I'm doing that, right? So it was like doing that teamwork. Like things work along really calmly, harmoniously when you do that. There's no, oh no, I did it last time. It's your turn. No, none of that, right? There's none of keeping tabs on what you or your spouse did the last time and whose turn it is now. You don't keep record. Never ever keep a record of who's done what. Right? Just have that awareness, have that communication, have that contact about who's doing what next, and just go and do it. That increases your closeness, your togetherness, your understanding, your security, your trust, all these things. All these things go together, if done well, and increase your physical intimacy and sex in your relationship. Hand on heart, I should know after 48 years, right? And of course, then after doing those 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, then we get to physical touch. If you've done all those 4 steps well, then the physical intimacy will just be a given. It'll just happen. And because you're so in love with each other, you're spending quality time with each other, you're doing all sorts of things together, working as a team. You have the words of affirmation. I love you. You make me so happy, and and also, at times that I do, even now, I thank my wife for marrying me. I thank her. I'm saying I'm so grateful to have found you and to have married you. I so appreciate you. I appreciate your beautiful heart, your loving ways, your caring ways. There's nothing about you that I don't love. I love everything about you. And speak the words, because words are powerful, but words like that, they really hit home. They really hit somebody right in the heart in a lovely, gentle, caring, respectful way. Right? So obviously, when you're having conversations, it's important to listen. You must listen to each other, right? At any stage of the day or night. If your spouse wants to talk to you, be available all the time. Turn off your devices. Be fully focused and give 100% full attention to your spouse when he or she is talking. And listen with respect and care. Be interested in whatever your spouse is trying to tell you, because it's obviously important. So if it's important to her or to him, it should be important to you, right? So listen, because it goes both ways. Listen to each other. And as we know in conversations are only 7% about words. 38% is tonality. So when you're having a conversation and you want to have an important conversation with your spouse, or anytime you have a conversation with your spouse, don't start up with a rough, gruff, tonality, because if the conversation, if the other half senses that you're brassed off with something, and it's always reflected in your voice and your tone, right? So he or she thinks, uh-oh, something's up. He or she's not happy, right? But if you want to having a conversation, you want it to go well, you want to talk through an issue and come to a resolution, do it in a calm, considered, peaceful, harmonious way. Because in that state of mind, you're likely to reach a resolution together. And always remember, never, ever put your spouse down, regarding their point of view about an issue. Because, what you've got to do is, and this is what I have always done, we've always realized that we're different in terms of our thinking. We think in different ways because we're brought up in different households with different beliefs. But what you've got to do is you've got to think about celebrating your differences as a way to understand more about your spouse and their world. And guess what? If what I've talked about here, you do all these sort of things that I've suggested you do, and we've done them ourselves, you'll create the greatest, most amazing physical intimacy in sexual relationship, in your long-term relationship, or any relationship for that matter. It works. How do I know that? Been married 48 years. Hand on heart, it works. Anyway, guys, I love you and leave you with that. I hope it helps. All the best. Blessings, love and light to you. And this is Philip Good signing off. And I hope you have the most amazing, intimate, physically intimate relationship. You both deserve it. But always remember those emotions and all those things leading up to the physical touch. So important. Okay. Bye for now. Love you guys. Bye.